we watch a lot of things in the news, and some things that catch our eye may be something like a new state legalizing cannabis. But when we go to the subject of legalizing cannabis, it's important for us to see why exactly it was made illegal in the first place. So, if you care about science, if you care about law, or if you care about history, a lot of people are going to relate to this. Stick around. So, about 1936, the movie Reefer Madness came out, and when this movie came out, it was a propaganda film that essentially stated at the very beginning of it that cannabis was a threat of American society and public enemy number one. So, this meant that immediately the use of cannabis was viewed as something worse than heroin. So when this movie came out, it depicted a group of kids, white kids, who were, well behaved, and they said things like swell and all this kind of crap. But anyway, when this movie came out, it incited so much fear and propaganda into the American public that it enacted legislation in 1937 to make cannabis an illegal substance. Not only did they find success in making cannabis illegal under a year later, but they were also able to make this drug more legal than possessing heroin or raping someone. This was not done in an effort to protect the American public, more so as it was done as a level of underlying racism. They depicted people who used this substance to be crazy, to be violent, and to not have control of their brain function. However, during the 1930s, there were not many Caucasian Americans using cannabis. That did not really become a huge thing until around the 1960s. However, during the 1930s period, a lot of African Americans and Mexican Americans who were coming into the country did use cannabis. It was called marijuana in the 1930s, this time period, and it was changed then to marijuana to make it sound more dangerous. But so as we can see from propaganda films such as Reefer Madness that were able to enact legislation, fear and propaganda work in terms of persuasion. And it's important for everyone to look at themselves and to look deep down and take inventory of what's important. People in the 1930s were very focused on religion and very focused on having the Bible rule American society. We saw that from the temperance movement and alcohol as well. Yet that didn't last many years at all, and there were riots, upstorms, because people were not able to get liquor. People were killing themselves drinking bathtub moonshine and making hooch and all kinds of other things because they did not want to deal with reality. However, alcohol was not given near as bad a penalty as cannabis was. So cannabis has basically been forgotten about since 1937. The drug was used from basically the 1960s up until now. However, the drug has changed in a large way. The United States government did decide that they would enact testing facilities and research and development facilities. In the state of Mississippi. And they did this so at Ole Miss. However, the program was never taken seriously, and lots of contaminated product and moldy product was sent out to testers under the cannabis program the United States government had set out. But that program never really worked very well, just because the product they were receiving was making them more sick than doing anything. It was literally just mold spores growing on flowers that did not provide any medicinal use whatsoever. It was really honestly worse than smoking a cigarette. So we've come to the point now where medical cannabis has been legalized. Colorado, California, Washington, Oregon, especially California, they were able to make the steps and transition into law to allow for medicinal use and decriminalization. As the states kind of progressed throughout the industry and a lot of tax revenue was being made, and other states got on board and were able to start legalizing the drug. However, as states got on board, we were able to see that there was a large problem with the black market. When you create a black market, you are essentially undermining the government. The government wanted nothing to do with cannabis other than to put people in prison for it. Now that they see they can make more money off of taxing it than putting people in prison for it, it has become a different situation. The United States government really only cares about itself, not about its citizens. And they locked a lot of citizens up just to make money off of them. And now they see they can make more money off of cannabis versus locking them up, so they're going to legalize cannabis, get their hats in the ring, and make their money off of it, just like pharmaceutical companies. But all of this being said, we cannot let fear dictate what we believe. If we are passionate about something and we believe that something is right, it's important to go fight for that, and it's important to believe in yourself. If you believe that cannabis can provide something other than just a high, then it's okay to believe that what you're doing is okay. Personally, I believe that it is going to lead to something greater in the future. I don't know what that is, but that is what I believe in my heart. And if we are able to decriminalize cannabis or even make it into a form of recreational use throughout the country, I think it would be a lot safer. We'd be able to protect a lot more people. But yeah, thank you for your day and have a great evening.